Yes, folks. Have you noticed that you have to listen to people who come from countries in Asia or even the Pacific Islands to get some common sense these days? Or people from other countries that have not been polluted by progressive liberalism? Now, folks, I got my first serious dose of conservatism when I lived in South Korea for 14 years. I saw how well it worked for 40 million people, and the main drivers of it were strong families and a monoculture, a unified people all working together towards a common goal. And then I came back to New Zealand and I saw the National Party hijacked by John Key, a progressive liberal. The National Party were no longer a conservative party anymore. It became a party of divisive multiculturalism and gay marriage. Anyway, today I want to look at some common sense coming from the Philippines and from Samoa. So I'll start this off with the National Party's Paulo Garcia's maiden speech, or part of it.
Fellow travelers in faith. And just as we should be aware of the underbelly of ethnic intolerance in this country, we need to be equally aware of the prejudice of religious intolerance, often used as a handy tool in debates. It is insulting for some in this chamber to suggest that the sole motive to retrograde policies such as euthanasia are religious ones, which is akin to saying that people of faith do not have intellect and shouldn't also take their place here and contribute to society. But we live in a day when we have put our own interests ahead of our children. And this modern society will continue to do so to its own detriment. Men are particularly to blame. Women are often left abandoned, uncertain, and pressured to get rid of unexpected children or raise them on their own. I salute and absolute praise all single mothers.
Mr. Garcia, I wouldn't go that far. I would say a lot of these solo mothers these days are just freeloaders, having babies in order to get welfare.
I can honestly say that if either my wife or myself had to raise our daughters alone, we would have struggled severely as well. And despite the due importance we all attach to this task at our hands, that of governing this country, parenting is the most important job we really have. As mothers and fathers, and collectively as a parliament and as a nation, we need to support our parents. We need to support our families. We need to support our children.
And I absolutely agree with you, Mr. Garcia. But it's your party that has actually destroyed families and destroyed children with gay marriage and gay adoption.
But I highlight that the men of this country need to do more. We as men need to stand strong in our relationships. We must be reliable providers and protectors.
Wow, that sounds a bit patriarchal, Mr. Garcia. That won't sit very well with your feminist colleagues.
We must show the Tamariki the way to respect and honor women. And whatever laws we might pass in this chamber, the pro-life voice must no longer be despised.
Oh, so you're a pro-lifer, Mr. Garcia. That also won't sit well with most of your colleagues.
And discounted as offensive. Preachers of tolerance and inclusion must no longer seek to silence and condemn those with opinions that make them uncomfortable, but are nevertheless opinions based on another person's own beliefs and value systems. While we need to stay vigilant and investigate people who post offensive material online, we need to be equally concerned at any move in this House to restrict freedom of speech, a move which has all too often been used by those in power to silence those with differing opinions or ideas. This doctrine, peddled by those who pretend to be progressive, assert that the mere expression of ideas itself is a limitation of the rights of others. This is preposterous. We must always run the risk of being offended in the effort to afford each citizen their freedom of expression, the freedom to be wrong, and yes, unfortunately, even nasty.
Yes, Mr. Garcia, you're absolutely 100% correct there. But half of your colleagues don't even know what freedom of expression means.
We must let the punishment of those with hateful messages be their own undoing. As representatives of our people, it is important to be able to faithfully fulfill at each moment the duties of love and justice we owe to all of New Zealand, despite the difficulty of applying such principles to this contingent world. Keeping this sense of loyalty constantly active is the best defense against an aging of the spirit, a hardening of the heart, and a stiffening of the mind that threatens us all. We need to be truly aware of our real motivation as to why we are here. Are we here to just promote self and self-interest? Are our actions ultimately driven by what will benefit our in-group only? Our answers may reveal that we may then not truly be representative of all people in New Zealand, and we must and may rectify our intentions.
Okay, I'll just fast forward a bit there.
I have a Spanish name, an American accent, and an Asian face. And I have been welcomed in Aotearoa. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mabuhay.
Yes, folks, all the hypocrites stood up and applauded Mr. Garcia. Yet not one of them truly agreed with anything he said. Now for a bit of common sense coming from Samoa.
Welcome back. Samoa's chief censor has banned the Elton John biopic Rocket Man due to its homosexual scenes. The film was due to open at the country's only cinema in Apia before it was hurriedly cancelled. A Ministry of Justice official has told One News that censorship laws are aligned with Samoa's constitution, its Christian beliefs and other customs.
The movie itself has very explicit scenes between male and male. Not something that we can publicly view. Gay marriage is not yet allowed in Samoa.
Yes, and why would any country want to show male-on-male sex or have gay marriage? So you can clearly see what's going on there, folks. The left are trying to bully Samoa into gay marriage, and they are trying to shame them for having Christian beliefs.